In a flashback to 1979, Dr. Brenner gets ready for work at Hawkins' lab, full of children with extraordinary powers. Something goes terribly wrong, and he wakes up to find mangled bodies everywhere, with only one child left standing, 11. Jumping forward to 1986 in Lenora Hills, California, Will, 11, Jonathan, and their new friend Argyle are settling into their new life under Joyce's watchful eye as she works from home. 11 clearly isn't fitting in like the others and is constantly bullied, but she hides this from Mike in her letters. Mike stays in Hawkins with Nancy and the rest of the gang. Dustin keeps in touch with his long-distance girlfriend Susie, while Steve, Robin, Max, and Lucas all return for another school year. Lucas joins the basketball team and befriends the captain Jason and his jock friends. During a big game, Jason declares his love for his girlfriend Chrissy, while Robin seems to have a crush on fellow band member Vicky. Lucas chooses the basketball final over the Hellfire Club's Dungeons & Dragons game, leaving Mike and Dustin one player short. Things are tense between Lucas and Max hears Chrissy being sick in the bathroom, and we see Chrissy suffering disturbing, upside-down style hallucinations. We meet Eddie Munson, leader of the Hellfire Club and no friend of the jocks. Nancy is focused on the school newspaper with fellow reporter Fred. Chrissy leaves school, heads into the forest, and sees a grandfather clock growing out of a tree, but Eddie interrupts her to sell her drugs, surprised that such a perfect student has come to him. Back in California, 11's bullying gets worse, and she even tries to use her powers on her main bully Angela, only to fail and be mocked even more. Joyce receives a strange parcel containing a Russian doll and calls Murray for advice. He suggests there's something hidden inside, so Joyce smashes it from a distance and finds a note saying Hopper is alive. Mike and Dustin recruit their missing D&D player, Lucas's sister Erica. During the session, the party meets a terrifying villain named Vecna, who they defeat in-game, while Lucas's basketball team wins in real life. Lucas celebrates with the jocks, but his old friends aren't with him anymore. That night, at Max's trailer park, she sees Eddie meeting Chrissy, who suddenly becomes possessed by an unknown creature and falls into a trance. Eddie screams for her to wake up, but it's too late. The next day, police arrive, talk to Eddie's uncle, and find only Chrissy's mangled body with Eddie nowhere to be seen. In California, Mike visits 11, and there's awkward tension between him and Will, but Mike isn't the only arrival. Lucas is hungover and miserable after partying, and police arrive to speak with Jason. News of the murder reaches Nancy and Fred, who decide to investigate. Max tells Dustin what she saw, including Eddie running away. Dustin, being close to Eddie, refuses to believe he's a killer and suspects something darker is going on. Murray starts helping Joyce decode the ransom note, and we see Hopper survive the Starcourt explosion and is now being tortured in a Russian prison. Mike, 11, and will go roller skating, with 11 still pretending she has friends at school, which upsets Will. Police tell Jason about Chrissy's death, and he vows revenge. Dustin and Max recruit Steve and Robin, fill them in, and start tracking Eddie. On the way to the crime scene, Fred begins suffering his own disturbing visions. 11's lies about fitting in unravel when Angela publicly humiliates her in front of Mike, exposing the truth. Joyce and Murray call the number on the note and reach a prison guard named Enzo, who demands money in exchange for Hopper's release. The jocks start plotting revenge against Eddie, their main suspect, while the military begins its own investigation. Robin figures out a way to locate Eddie, and Nancy interviews his uncle, who mentions a past case involving a family called the Creels. Nearby, Fred's hallucinations worsen. Tension rises between Will and Mike, and it all becomes too much for 11, who attacks Angela for what she's done. Max and the others finally find Eddie hiding in an old boat shed and tell him what they know and what they think really happened. Fred is overtaken by the same creature and killed, revealing to the audience that a real-life Vecna is behind this, living in the attic of a house in the Upside Down, surrounded by demo bats. The military visits Dr. Owens because 11 has had a similar pattern in the past, and they suspect he knows more than he says. After the traumatic night at the rink, Mike, Will, and 11 return home and are grilled by Murray, and 11 is reminded of the Hawkins lab massacre. Lucas is dragged along in the jocks' plan to hunt Eddie, while Eddie is still hiding with the gang in the boathouse. Nancy is questioned about Fred's death, then rejoins the group to help figure out what's going on. Mike and 11 argue as she insists she's nothing without her powers, and he disagrees. She points out he never actually says he loves her. Before they can resolve it, police arrive and arrest 11 for attacking Angela. Nancy is brought up to speed on everything so far, and Max recalls seeing Chrissy in the bathroom before her death. The group splits. Nancy and Robin go follow the Creel lead, while Vecna hunts for more victims, and creepy gateways appear at each crime scene. Jason pressures Eddie's friends for information, and 11 is processed at the station and put into a transport van. Joyce and Murray fly to Russia to rescue Hopper, who is secretly planning his own escape with Enzo. Lucas sneaks away from the jocks and warns Dustin about their plans for Eddie. 11's transport is intercepted by Dr. Owens. Nancy and Robin dig through old newspaper files and find more about the Creels, learning that Victor Creel, the father, is locked in an asylum after strange events destroyed his family. Dr. Owens tells 11 what's happening in Hawkins and explains they need to try to restore her powers so she can save the world again. Time is running out because now Max is also experiencing visions. Will, Jonathan, and Mike are placed under armed protection due to the danger, and 2 guards are posted at their house. Lucas meets up with Dustin and officially rejoins the investigation. Nancy and Robin share their findings and decide to visit Victor Creel in the asylum, while Max's visions get worse. In Russia, we meet Yuri, who agrees to help Joyce and Murray find Hopper, while Hopper and Enzo make their own escape plans. Victor Creel tells the story of the horrors that haunted his family and led to his wife and daughter's deaths, mentioning that a familiar song during his visions could pull him briefly back to reality. Will, Jonathan, and Mike are attacked, their guards overwhelmed, and they flee with an injured guard in Argyle's van. Yuri reveals to Joyce and Murray that he plans to betray them to the KGB, and Hopper, hiding in a nearby building, is quickly recaptured. The Hawkins crew takes Max to the cemetery so she can visit Billy's grave. When Steve checks on her, he finds she has been taken over by Vecna and trapped in his nightmare. Robin calls Dustin and tells him music might break the curse, and they desperately try to pull Max out of the trance. The music reminds Max of happier times and helps her escape Vecna's grip just in time. On the run, the injured guard dies in the back of Argyle's van, and the military, having found Mike and 11's letters, is close behind. 11 is taken to a secret compound in Nevada, brought underground, and shown the Nina Project, an attempt to bring back her powers. The project is run by Dr. Brenner, Papa. Traumatized, 11 tries to escape but is quickly stopped. Elsewhere, Hopper is returned to the prison with Enzo, and Yuri flies Joyce and Murray toward the KGB. Max tries to recall details from her time in Vecna's trance, and the group pieces together that what she saw matches the Creel house. 11 wakes up inside a memory of her childhood at the lab and meets an orderly named Peter, who becomes her only apparent ally there. It's revealed 11 is reliving her Hawkins lab memories inside the Nina tank, monitored by Brenner and Owens. In the desert, the group has to bury the injured guard, and Will clearly has something important he wants to say to Mike. The Hawkins crew arrives at the Creel house to investigate, and Lucas and Max's relationship shows a small spark of hope. Strange flickering lights point to Vecna's presence nearby. In 11's memories, the children at the lab are tested for the strength of their powers, and she keeps flashing back to the massacre. In Russia, Joyce and Murray overpower Yuri and get a rushed flying lesson. At the Creel house, the group follows the flickering lights and realizes Vecna is close in the Upside Down. He is also focusing on his next victim. The jocks catch up to Eddie as he tries to escape in a rowboat, but before they reach him, one of them is possessed and killed, opening another gate in the lake. 11 wakes again and tries another escape from Nina, causing an explosion, but Brenner convinces her how important her role is, and she agrees to keep going. The military becomes increasingly desperate to capture her. Police start investigating the lake death, and the group tells Eddie he'll be blamed again, which proves true as Jason riles up the town into a full-blown Munson hunt. The van crew comes up with a way to track 11 and contact Susie, who gives them coordinates. Joyce and Murray hide with Yuri as their prisoner. In the lab, 11 is treated as badly by the test kids as she was by the California bullies, and she's haunted by images of their dead bodies. The Hawkins team goes to the lake for more clues, and Steve is dragged into the underwater gate, trapped in the Upside Down. Eddie, Nancy, and Robin follow and help him fight off Vecna's demobats before moving deeper into the Upside Down. Murray sneaks into the Russian base pretending that Joyce and Yuri are the promised American prisoners, and they watch Hopper and the inmates prepare to face a familiar monster. Dustin, Lucas, and Erica search for a way to pull Steve and the others out of the Upside Down, while that group figures out how to use lights to communicate. They decide to meet at one of the new gates, and both teams hurry there. In 11's memories, Peter befriends her and shares a secret way to escape the lab. Hopper and Enzo face the Demogorgon, but Murray forces the guards to help by taking one hostage. Once they're safe, Hopper turns and finds Joyce waiting for him. In the Upside Down, both teams reach the gate and start climbing out, but Nancy is grabbed at the last second and pulled into Vecna's mind. She watches his memories and learns that Victor Creel's son was behind the original Creel tragedies, leaving Victor wrongly blamed. 11 follows Peter through the lab and finally understands the real cause of the massacre. She tries to stop him, they fight, and she ultimately overpowers him, sending him into the Upside Down, revealing that he is Vecna. Those who escape the Upside Down desperately try to pull Nancy back, and she narrowly escapes before waking up. In Russia, Hopper, Joyce, Murray, and Enzo regroup and look for a way out of the prison while the Demogorgon prowls nearby. As they search, they find other upside-down creatures being kept there before finally discovering an exit. 11's powers are fully restored thanks to what she learned about her past and Vecna. Meanwhile, Jonathan, Argyle, Mike, and Will head toward the coordinates. On the way, Will gives Mike a painting showing Mike as the hero of their group, everyone standing behind him. It's clear Will's feelings run deeper than he admits. Nancy tells the Hawkins gang what she saw in Vecna's mind, and 11 is now able to telepathically see and hear what the group is doing. The Russian group escapes the prison and forces Yuri to help them flee the country using another aircraft he owns. In Hawkins, the gang realizes they need more firepower to fight Vecna and steal an RV to get to a gun store. On the way, Steve admits he still has feelings for Nancy, and Lucas and Max slowly grow closer again. At the gun store, Yuri's aircraft turns out to be an old, barely working helicopter he swears he can fix. Robin spots Vicky but is hurt to see her with a guy, while Nancy spots Jason, who threatens them before they quickly escape and prepare for war. In Nevada, the group finds tracks that may lead to Eleven, but the military has also located the area. Wanting to save her friends, Eleven tries to leave again but is stopped by Brenner. She wakes up back in her room as the facility is attacked by the military. Dr. Owens is captured, and Brenner drags Eleven out a back exit into the desert. A helicopter spots them, and Brenner is shot just before he can shoot Eleven. Argyle's van races toward them, but Eleven proves she doesn't need much help. Eleven is reunited with the group and says her final goodbye to Papa before they narrowly escape the military. Back in Hawkins, the crew splits up to carry out their plan against Vecna. Max, Erica, and Lucas go into the Creel house. In Russia, Yuri secretly delays the helicopter repairs, so Joyce, Murray, and Hopper send Enzo to force him to work while they return to the facility to destroy the upside-down creatures, knowing the hive mind is linked and it will help the kids. The rest of the Hawkins gang, Steve, Nancy, Dustin, Robin, and Eddie, heads into the upside down while Eleven plans to reach Vecna by entering Max's mind through a salt bath. At the Creel house, they use lanterns to track Vecna while Jason hunts them. Argyle suggests using Surfer Boy Pizza to build a makeshift salt tank, and Eddie and Dustin prepare a huge distraction to pull off the demo bats and leave Vecna exposed. Max and Lucas promise to go on a date when it's all over, but Vecna interrupts, pulling Max under his curse again. With the salt bath ready, Eleven finds Max at the Creel house and enters her memories to look for her. Eddie delivers a face-melting guitar solo, perfectly luring the demo bats away. Nancy, Steve, and Robin enter the Creel house in the upside down. The jocks finally corner Erica, Lucas, and Max, who's now being stalked by Vecna and trapped in her snowball memory. Back in Russia, the creatures have escaped as the upside down leaks into the facility and revives them, making them harder to kill. In Max's mind, Eleven spots a table from the snowball out of place and realizes that's where Max is. Jason storms into the attic and accuses Lucas of hurting Max, who appears unresponsive. Hopper and Joyce say a quick goodbye before Hopper goes to face the monsters again, while Vines in the upside down trap Nancy, Steve, and Robin in the Creel house. Dustin and Eddie prepare to fight the bats, but Eddie chooses to stay behind as bait, pulling them away from the gate. Lucas and Erica battle the jocks as Vecna arrives at the snowball to take Max, but they're not alone. Eddie draws the bats as far away as possible, and Dustin returns to the upside down to help him, while Eddie stands his ground. Eleven fights Vecna but is dragged into his mind alongside Max, where he explains how he came to serve the Mind Flayer before tightening his hold on her. It's time to defeat Vecna once and for all. Hopper, Joyce, and Murray are picked up by Yuri and Enzo, and Dustin finds Eddie, who is dying from his wounds but proud he didn't run this time. The upside down tears through Hawkins, killing Jason in the process. Hawkins has fallen. The group finally reunites, and Max is seen in the hospital, alive but badly injured. Everyone helps the devastated citizens of Hawkins. Robin and Vicky finally get to talk. Dustin tells Eddie's uncle that Eddie isn't coming home and shares the story of his bravery. Back at Hopper's cabin, Eleven is visited by someone she thought was dead, Hopper. But strange signs show Hawkins is far from safe. The beginning of the end has arrived.